掌声欢迎世友居士，还有就是我们今天的翻译游祥洲教授。Welcome, Dr. Lokamitra.
So thank you very, very much indeed for inviting me to talk about what is really nothing less than a peaceful revolution taking place in India today as a result of Buddhism.
各位法友，首先呢，我非常感谢梁社长今天邀请我来到这儿，来跟大家分享，就是一个非常非常纯净的和平革命，它是怎么在印度发生的。
One of the saddest things for Buddhists all over the world is that Buddhism disappeared from its homeland, India.
在人类史上最悲剧的一件事情，就是佛教竟然在它的出生的国家呢，那么完全的消失了。
In this presentation, I'm going to talk about how it's now coming back to India.
今天不是要讲这个历史的悲剧，而是要讲一个历史的一个希望，也就是今天佛教在印度又重新复兴起来了。
And some of the work that myself and colleagues of mine have been involved in.
我要谈的不是我一个人的工作，而是我很多的法友，他们跟我一起在印度工作。
Buddhism was born here at Buddha Gaya.
佛教呢诞生在普里切印度。
Many of you have been there.
相信很多人去过这个地方。
And the Buddha's first message to his message to his first 60 disciples at Sarnath, where he gave the first teachings, is summed up in Pali, Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya.
佛陀给我们一个非常重要的一个法的讯息，就是在第一次的结下安居之后，佛陀对60个弟子们说了2句话，就是你们走吧，出去走向群众，为了大众的幸福、大众的福利。
At the end of the first rainy season retreat, he exhorted his disciples not to sit alone and meditate for the rest of their lives, but to go out and communicate the Dharma to as many people as possible.
所以佛陀在这个第一次的结下安居结束的时候，你们不要继续留在这里打坐，你们要走向群众，走向十字街头，走向所有跟愿意接受佛法的人，来启发他们的生命。
So the essence of Buddhism is compassion.
所以我们可以从这样一个历史的事实里面知道，佛教的本质叫做慈悲。
This is Gridrakuta, where many great Mahayana teachings were given.
我们现在看到了灵鹫山，这是佛陀呢这个弘扬大乘佛法的地方。
And Buddhism spread throughout Asia from India, everywhere contributing to civilization, peace, education, art, generosity, and compassion.
那这个图你看到佛教呢传遍世界各地，特别是在亚洲地区。那么随着佛教的传播呢，你看到佛教的艺术、佛教的这个种种的这个一个理念。
But it died out in India 700 years ago.
但佛教不幸的在700年前在印度完全的消失了。
If you go to India today, many of you have been to visit the holy places. Most of you will not meet living Buddhists, except from the Tibetan tradition. You will only see ruins to a great civilization.
所以在座诸位，相信很多人去过印度，你会发现到了印度，你看到的不是一个活生生的那个佛教徒，而是你看到很多很多的这个废墟。那当然一部分你会看到有些西藏的佛教徒。
On the left here, you'll see the ruins of Nalanda University, which apparently had 15,000 monks at one time.
那这里你看到那兰陀大学的遗迹，在古时候呢，这个大学里面有15000个出家人在那边一起修行。
But it's been revived in India, and it was revived in Nagpur, in the center of India, in 1956.
那1956年呢，在中印度的龙城这个地方呢，佛教又复兴起来了。
Yeah? And it was, this is a picture of the anniversary of that revival about 15 years ago. 15 years ago. It's a picture of the anniversary of the conversions.
60 or 50?
The conversions took place 60 years ago, but this picture was taken recently.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so
OK， 对不起，在这个图里面有2张图，左边这一张图是50年前，就是在佛教复兴运动那个圣地拍的照。那60年前，右边这张是60年前，就是安贝卡博士主持这个皈依运动的这样的一个历史的图片。
So this man here is Dr. Ambedkar, who led the conversions to Buddhism.
那你现在看到了，站在左边这一位就是安贝卡博士。
Amy was just now talking about Anagarika Dharmapala.
在上一场的演讲里面，我们听到了那个 Amy 好，她介绍了那个护法居士。
Dharmapala helped to make the contribution of Buddhism to Indian culture appreciated in India once again, after Buddhism had been forgotten for centuries.
所以是因为他做出很大的这个贡献呢，本来佛教在印度已经消失700年，已经被遗忘了。那么是因为他们的这些大士们的这个努力呢，所以佛教又重新被了解了。
And it's because of his work that you can now visit the Buddhist holy places in India today.
那特别是我们现在到印度的这个佛教圣地的时候，我们还可以重新看到圣地的这样的一个面貌。
But it was Dr. Ambedkar who brought Buddhism back as a living religion.
但更重要的是安贝卡博士呢，因为他，所以佛教又重新回到印度。
So who are the new Buddhists?
那谁是安贝卡博士所带领的这些新佛教徒呢？
Most are from the so-called untouchable or Dalit community that are right at the bottom of the Indian caste system.
现在印度所谓的新佛教徒，他们是在印度的社会最底层，就是所谓的前贱民，或者我们现在把它翻译叫 Dalit 这个名词，是由他们来推动佛教的复兴的。
This is a picture drawn by one of my students.
这是世友居士的一个学生，他画的一张照片，就整个印度的社会结构里面，种姓制里面，所谓的前贱民，他们在社会最底层。
So you've got the untouchable right at the bottom, then the Shudras who work with their hands traditionally, then the money people working with money, the Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, the fighters, the politicians, and the Brahmins.
所以你看到，在这个画的这个最底层是就所谓的前贱民，再上去手陀罗就是奴隶阶级，再上去呢就是所谓的吠舍，就是商业阶级，再上去是武士阶级，最上面是婆罗门阶级。
Now you can't see a very important aspect of this slide. The Dalits make up 1/6 of India's population, but it's not 30 million people, it's 230 million people.
那目前所有的前贱民达利的这个族群呢，在印度呢是有2亿3千万人口，也就是在印度人6%。
That's about 10 times the population of Taiwan, I think. Yeah? Even today, untouchability is practiced all over India.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah. Even today, untouchability is practiced all over India.
Still.
Yeah, very much.
所以，即使是到今天呢，在这个全印度呢，这些所有的前贱民，他们过的日子还是跟从前那个贱民的这个生活的条件是一样的。
Yeah. All the dirty work is done only by people from the Dalit community. No one else will do it.
所有那些肮脏的事情，都是要由这些所谓的前贱民来做的。
Many live in these conditions, these sort of conditions.
那他们大部分都住在贫民窟，住在非常贫困的环境里。
Still, many suffer so much violence.
而且他们要不断的面对其他阶级对他们的攻击，对他们的这个迫害。
And for no reason that they're born so-called untouchables.
没有什么理由，只是因为他们来自那个族群，所以他们一出生下来，他们就是所谓的贱民。
Most of the prostitutes in India are from that community.
然后呢，莫名其妙的说，印度的这个妓女呢，大部分呢都是来自所谓的这个贱民的这个背景。
So, Ambedkar was the first untouchable to get a good education.
安贝卡博士是印度呢，在贱民的这个背景的这个情况下，他受到了最高的教育。
He became one of the highest educated Indians of the last century. One of the most educated.
在上一个世纪里面呢，他是 印度呢第一位得到博士学位的人。
And he drafted the Constitution of Independent India.
那他是印度独立宪法的起草人。
And here he is, his statue is outside the Indian Congress or Parliament.
他的铜像现在还树立在印度国会的前面。
But he found that legal change would not be enough to bring about real change for the untouchables.
安贝卡博士他发现到说，光是这种法律地位的改变是不够的，那么还要做更深层的这样改变。
He said that you can only bring about that change if you bring about a deep change in the attitudes of all those involved.
因为光是在法律面去废除所谓的种姓制度，废除所谓的这个贱民制度是不够的。他认为只有从我们的内心改变，才能够真正改变这个社会。
At the heart of the Nagarjuna Institute, we have the walking Buddha.
然后在这个学院的这个正中央呢，中心点呢，我们有一尊，
Usually you see
有一尊那个佛像，就是行进中的佛陀。
Usually the Buddha is seen sitting.
通常佛像都是坐着的吧？
But actually 8 months of the year he spent walking.
可是你可能不知道，佛陀开悟之后，他大部分的时间都是在行脚。
Not just walking, but walking out to meet people, to communicate to them, to help them change their lives.
佛陀不是为了走路而走路，他是要走出去，去接近群众，告诉他们生命的觉悟的讯息。
So the Buddha in this mudra represents the spirit of what we are trying to develop at
What's the
Nagarjuna
exact
Institute.
meaning of the mudra?
This is the walking and the Abhaya mudra, the fearlessness. Going
Fearness.
out, yeah.
OK. 所以佛陀这个佛像塑造的时候呢，特别就是说，不但是在行进中，而且呢，他的手印呢，就是告诉你大无畏的这个精神，无畏印。
Over the last 15 years, we've had over 1,000 students from 24 different states in India.
在我们的龙树学院呢，过去就成立到现在15年了。那么在15年当中呢，我们已经培训出来超过1200多个学生，那遍及全印度的24个省。
When they come to us, they know, most of them, absolutely nothing about Buddhism.
当他们来到学院的时候，他们对佛法一无所知。
But they're inspired by Dr. Ambedkar's conversion to Buddhism, and they want to know how Buddhism can help them change.
但是他们因为安贝卡博士的这个影响呢，他们知道说，通过佛法的学习，他们会改变自己，也有能力改变印度的社会。
We hope that they can bring them to the peaceful but actively compassionate Buddha, the center of the Nagarjuna Institute campus.
我们希望我们所有的学生都像这尊佛一样，可以走向全印度的各地来传播佛的讯息。
Buddhism gives these young people whose parents were cruelly treated as untouchables a future, and they in turn give India a future.
所以这些来自所谓的这个前贱民的这个背景的孩子们，我们希望他们通过龙树学院的这个训练之后，他们可以带给印度社会更多正面的讯息。
We have to support the further training and development of these students all over India, so that they can help create a better world.
所以我们希望呢，有更多人来支持龙树学院呢，让我们培训出更多的这个学生，更多的小菩萨走向印度的每一个角落来传播佛法。
The last words of Dr. Ambedkar's book on Buddhism is the prayer to Amitabha. I pray that I could see thee, O Buddha, face to face, and I, together with my fellow beings, attain birth in the land of bliss.
然后我想最后跟大家分享安贝卡博士他一个祈祷词里面一段话，他这里面看到这里面有中文的翻译啊。佛陀啊，我祈祷我可以面对面的来亲近你，然后呢，我们可以让我们的所有这些同胞们，那么他们能够到阿弥陀佛的极乐世界。
Thank you very much, Brother Liang. Thank you very
谢
much,
谢。
Dr. Yo and Amy. Amitabha.